Oh, it automatically does the questions. Hey everyone. On IG Live, as I promised. I'm gonna just run through the questions that I got earlier in the week when I posted about, like if I should post a Q&A or anything like that. So you guys sent me like quite a few questions, and hey y'all. But yeah, so 1 year, a little bit over, but a full year of trading, and it's just like it felt like it went by quickly, but also kind of slow. Like, it's so weird to think about how around this time last year, like I've talked about it on my YouTube channel before. I've talked about it. And the link's even in my bio, but like I've talked about it. This time last year, I was being laid off from my job the upcoming Friday. Like, it's just so crazy to think how, like once I got laid off due to like job cuts from COVID, I really just never went back. Like I looked at trading like, all right, we're gonna have to make this work. And to be honest, like to be completely honest, since trading there's a huge psychological aspect to trading. I would never recommend that anybody go into trading without having a job. But at the same time, there's not anything necessarily that I recommend for any certain situation. Like, everyone's different. Everyone is different. So to me, I was looking at it like, well, if I put my whole heart into this, if I practice every day, if I sit there and put my study time in, if I put my chart time in, I have to get this. Like, there's definitely no other way. There's no other, like, the outcome is going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Like, if you never give up, you can't fail. So that's just the way that I looked at it. I never timed it like, oh, by 3 months I have to be here. Now, like I said, like, certain people work different ways. Everyone works in different ways. So if setting certain time goals for yourself helps you, so be it. But for me, I feel like focusing on time rather than the skill, or focusing on making sure that I understand the skill and not putting that kind of pressure on myself, just putting in that work, just solely putting in the work of making sure that I'm studying the right things, focused on the right things, making sure that I have a plan. I feel like those are the things that are more important than timing yourself. You can't time yourself. You don't know. This is something that, like, for a lot of people who get into this, if they don't have parents who have done it, or someone in their family who has done it, or anything like that, and they're just coming in new to it, you're not necessarily going to know like what the right path is for you. So you have to give yourself that grace. You have to give yourself that time to really make sure that you're respecting what you put in. For real, you have to respect what you put in. So yeah, that's really just the way I looked at it. I know a lot of the times I get questions about people asking like, hey, how much time do you spend studying, or how much time have you spent studying or back testing or anything like that? To be completely honest, I don't necessarily put a time to it. Like, I think I messaged somebody the other day who asked that, and I'm just like, I stop studying when I get tired. Like, I stop for that day. I stop back testing when I get tired. Now, it's good to have your time blocked off, like making sure that you're setting aside the time to trade. Right, Brian? Yes. Put some respect on that journey. Yes. So it's just like, at the end of the day, it is good to block off that time, for sure. It's good to block off that time because you want to be organized in your approach. But at the same time, just put that time in. Just put that time in. I said, do you trade full time? So I do day trading. I do e-commerce. I have investments. There are a lot of different things that I do. I don't just do one thing. I definitely don't just do one thing. Like when I started this page in general, even though it says Invest Goddess, I started this page because I was I have a lot of different businesses where I do drop shipping. I do things that are related to SMMA. And for those who don't know, that's like social media management, like managing different social media accounts. Like there are probably accounts that you guys have been on before where I've managed it, and you know, like people don't know. And that's not necessarily something that I like sharing. Like I don't try to say like, oh, go follow my page such and such because it needs some followers or anything like that. Like no, I like the organic growth of it all. Definitely, because that's how you gain customers that you would want to target as your audience organically. How much do you make on average trading? I would say an average range of, I don't necessarily, like I'm so hesitant to answer that question, to be honest, because it puts the expectation out there to it when everyone is different. I'll say it like this. I definitely, like, you can, to be honest, you can go through my story and find out that answer. Like, you can go through my story highlights and find out, like, what's the average looking like. But I will say this, I definitely make more than what I was making at the job that I got laid off from. And that's what's been most important to me. Like, from trading alone, that's just what's been most important to me, being able to make more than I was making at my job. And just for further background on that, I come from a tech background. Like I was doing web development. We need a live session. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We definitely do. I know I'll say it on the slide, but I know I missed one, Brian. You said, wow, that's amazing. I want to get to where you are. Be better, for real. You'll be better. Definitely be better. I just want to know if I can eat trading alone. Yeah, there are a lot of people who have taught themselves. You don't need, when you say trading alone, what do you mean? Because at the end of the day, we're all in the markets alone. We're all in the market alone. No one can trade for us. I would look, I feel like the moment you put your trading in someone else's hands, like your actual trading, like your, you know, the execution of your trade, that's the moment you don't really care about a blown account, to be honest. But I mean, just look around Instagram, look through my followers list too, or like the people who I follow. A lot of people I follow are people who are trading on their own, or people who are self-taught or anything like that. I said, what are some tips you have for someone newly starting out and with the LLA course? Some tips. I definitely had, so I did have tips on like the last story not last story highlight, the last story, that one of the stories that I posted today. One of the stories that I posted today, I had a lot of the tips that I would give. I would say don't skip any of the aspects of trading. It's cool to get market structure. It's cool to understand your risk management, and it's cool to have your trading psychology. You need all three. You do need all three. Don't feel like you understand market structure and then want to say things like, oh, like I don't feel like risk management is important because I'm getting 90 pips a day or something like that. There are people I know who can make 90 pips in a day but lose it all the next. There are people who I know who can consistently get 30 pips a day. Based on their risk management alone, they will make more money than the person who doesn't have risk management, who is making that 90 pips a day. No, I don't do signals. Like I said, the moment you put your trading into someone else's hands, that's the moment you don't care about blowing your account. So I wouldn't, I'm not a signal service provider or anything like that. No matter how much you pay to learn from trading gurus, the best teacher is your own experience. Yes, definitely, Asia, definitely. And people try to skip that step. There's no and this was something else I said on my story today. There are certain shortcuts that people can take with trading. There are certain shortcuts, but doing the work is not one of them. Doing the work is not a step that can be skipped. If you really want to understand the market or anything like that, you have to do the work. You can't be fearful. You can't let the market intimidate you. And it can be intimidating. When money is involved with something and being right versus wrong is involved, it can be hard to, let it not intimidate you. Definitely. John, you said, I don't understand why they said risk only 0.03 of your account, and then I see them risking 0.25. Your risk is based on your account. Your risk is based on your account and your analysis. No one can tell you no one can necessarily tell you what to risk per trade. That's something that you have to calculate for your account size to make sure that I just lost my train of thought. Because no one can tell you what you'd be okay with losing. So your risk and your lot size is something that you have to figure out, because no one can tell. At the end of the day, everyone is different. No one can tell you what you're okay with losing. Me personally, I know that losing $200 in the market in a day, that's something that is fine with me if I know that my profit target was $1,000 for that day, like something like that. If I'm risking $200 to make $1,000, that's a risk that I'm okay with taking. But not everybody's okay with that. Definitely not everybody's okay with that. But that's a 1 to 5 risk reward ratio right there. Some people would be more okay with losing like $20 in that day, something like that. Did you trade demo before you went live? Yeah, absolutely. And I traded demo for a while because you're supposed to get all your mistakes out on demo. Don't let anyone try to, what's the word I want to use? Basically try to punk you into going live sooner than you're ready to. Because a lot of the time, like, people feel like, oh, you have to take certain big losses or blow accounts, like account after account after account, your live account. But it's just like, okay, but if you had the skill, that skill should transfer over to your live account. The only thing that should be transferring over, or something that you can't necessarily transfer over, is the psychology. So if you are placing trades based off of whatever your analysis is, you're right a certain amount of times, you have your risk reward together, or risk management together, there shouldn't be a problem going live. There definitely shouldn't be a problem going live. But like I said, like, there's nothing wrong with being on demo for as long as you feel like you need to be. Definitely. Because like I said, you're supposed to get all your mistakes out there. Like, I don't know, I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes it bothers me, like, hearing and this is more so for like like fresh new traders, hearing people say things like, oh, I had like my $500 account and I blew it that same week. So that means you weren't ready for a live account because you don't understand risk management. With risk management, there's no reason why you should be blowing a $500 account in a week. And like I said, like that's more so for new traders. If someone, like they've been trading for a few more months or anything like that, and they're okay with, like they knew that $500 was something that they're okay with risking altogether, that's perfectly fine. But again, not everyone is the same. That $500 to one person may be nothing, but that $500 to somebody else, it may be like, it would have been what they would have wanted to grow their account. Like it would have held more significance. The dollar amount would have held more significance for them. You said you had to walk away. It was too much. Didn't get it. Didn't get what everybody else got out of it. You can't necessarily speak for everybody. Not everybody's telling, not everybody shares every single aspect of their experience. How many accounts did I blow? Two accounts, $200 accounts. One was something that was definitely stupid. The other one was the second time I blew an account was all right. So Bitcoin, it was definitely just shooting up. So I thought, all right, bet. Let me just place this open trade, no take profit, no stop loss. I'm good. I check back in 2 minutes. I'm like, oh, bet I'm up $17. Cool. Because I only used a 0.01. It was $100 account. I was like, all right, bet. Let me leave this open and running. This is what I'm talking about, Bitcoin. Okay. I forgot about the trade. Come back to my account and see that it was margin call. And it took me out the trade. So that account, honestly, I consider that one blown. Dumb mistake. I was willing to risk it. Clearly willing to risk it all. But that, to be honest, that has to be like one of the dumbest mistakes I ever made. But I mean, you can clearly see like that's something I can laugh about, because I feel like if you put money into account, the moment you transfer that money over to the broker was the moment you were okay with losing the money, knowing that that's the possibility. There's no guarantee in the market, for real. Brian, you said, man, I went live out the gate. Got fried. You bold, but you a goat. That's probably why. Man, that's bold. You said you didn't know what you were doing at all. Just hitting buy and sell. Until you really tapped in, for sure. As you said, learn and then earn. Yes, like so many people want to. This is like a trading pet peeve of mine. There are so many people out there who say like, how can I earn while I learn? And it's just like, what makes you feel so entitled to feel like you should be earning anything if you haven't learned the skill? What makes you feel so entitled? That's really entitlement, for real. Yeah, so that's like, to be completely honest, that is one of my trading pet peeves. I hate it. So, like I saw somebody else say it, it's just like you have to learn, then you drop the L. Like you take enough L's until you can drop the L. And you take the L off of learn, and that's earn. Would you say you prefer day trading over scalping? Yes. Yeah, 100% yes. It's cool to know how to scalp. Market structure, at the end of the day, appears on any time frame. Market structure appears on any time frame. So, it's cool to know how to scalp, but I feel like if you're scalping versus day trading, now scalping works for a lot of people. This is just my, like, strictly my opinion of it. If you're scalping something, to me, you're just cheating yourself, because you can set a target, and it's not even being greedy, it's just being realistic. You're cheating yourself because you can set a profit target that is realistic, where you can have minimal risk. So it's just like, why not just take that day trade? Why not just take that? Why? You can open up MT4, look at the chart. Not look at the chart in MT4, look at it in TradingView before you even place it. But it's just like, all right, you analyze the charts for 5 minutes, open up the MT4, place the trade, you're done. Scalping, yeah, it is quick, but at the same time, it's just like, all right, once I close MT4 after I place that day trade, I'm not opening it again. I already have my take profit and my stop loss set up for a reason. So I'm not opening that app again. I'm not touching the trade again. So I feel like if you instead scalp that trade, scalping gives a lot of people anxiety. And it's not that you can necessarily get more out of it than with an intraday trade. You still have to do an analysis. If you're scalping without an analysis, you're gambling. I'll be completely honest. You're gambling. If you're scalping without having an analysis, you're gambling. So if you put together an analysis, like you took the time to do an analysis, just like, dang, you owe it to yourself to at least let that day trade run. Like, hold it. Patience is the game, for real. Patience and probability. High Class Savage, you said Bitcoin did it to you too. Yes. It's just like, tag, I couldn't even be mad. I had to laugh. Am I going to trade live? Like on this IG live session? No, my trading is a bit more close to me. I wouldn't trade on IG live. Like and I don't think I necessarily can because of certain reasons. Legal reasons. Feel you. We've been there for real. How did you find your favorite pairs to trade? Did you just backtest different pairs until you found the ones that work for you? Honestly, I did like this 90-day challenge, and I've talked about it before. I did a 90-day challenge. Now, with this 90-day challenge, I had to place 2 to 5 trades per day, every single day. And I'm talking about like even on the weekends, I would analyze up to 10 different pairs during the week. I would analyze 10 different pairs because my goal was to be able to, 1, analyze faster, and 2, figure out what pairs actually worked for what I wanted to do. So with that 90-day challenge, being able to place those trades each and every day through those different pairs, I would journal them. I would journal why I took the trade. I would journal like the time of day that I took the trade, what the result was, like the regular way that you would journal a trade. But at the end of the first 30 days of that 90-day period, I went through and analyzed and looked at, okay, since I documented which trades were wins and losses and things like that, it also allowed me to see which pairs I had the most success with trading. So if you can document pairs that you've had the most success with trading, why wouldn't you just trade those pairs? So that was one of the ways that I landed on the pairs that I trade today. Like it's actually what got GJ into my list, because I was trading GBP USD and Euro USD. Like those have always been pairs throughout my entire journey. But GBP JPY, that was one of the ones that I added in because of my 90-day challenge, and that ended up being like my absolute favorite one. Absolutely. But that's how you do it. You have to journal, you have to document, because that's the only way that you can gather data about your trading. That's the only way. So, yeah, use that data. That's data that only you can generate. And that's one of those things where I was talking about, like, there are certain shortcuts you can take and certain shortcuts that you can't take. That's one of the ones that you can't necessarily take. Like, no one can tell you what's going to work best for you. That's something that everyone has to figure out themselves, you know? You said stay off of Bitcoin until y'all good enough. It got you paid, then killed you. Oh, man. Honestly, this isn't about that. So that's not what I'm here to talk about. With scalping, you're literally losing more money just from. Right, facts. Yeah, the broker fees alone with scalping, it's just like, why? Yeah, we'll be saving this videos. I will be saving this video. Okay. Yeah, I promise I am gonna save this. Web developer versus Forex. I feel like, dang, that's a good, that is a good question. Dang, that's a good question. So there are reasons for why I would choose Forex over web development. So web development it definitely holds a special place in my heart. It definitely holds a special place in my heart. Like, there were certain things that I didn't know about coming from the high school that I came from. Don't get me wrong, my high school was good and all, but there were certain things that I learned after, like the summer before I went to college, where I was just like, dang, I didn't even know that this existed. People are doing websites like this. People are doing back-end development like this. I didn't know I could do this thing here and make it look like this here. So, and this is before like things like Squarespace and like things that make it a bit easier to make a website now. So, for web development, the reason why I would choose Forex over web development is because, or let me say what I liked about web development. It allowed me to be creative. It was a creative outlet for me. Now, for me, I'm a very creative person. So having a creative outlet was very important for me. And being able to do it, you know, technologically, I was just like, wow, this is really amazing. This is next level. I love this. But knowing that it being a creative outlet was the reason I liked it, transferring that over into corporate world where you can't necessarily be creative, that was the issue. So once I got like my first web developer job, it was just like, you know, like there are all these different meetings and all these different people to go through how something's supposed to look, and, you know, like user experience and things that align with market research, like just a lot of different things. And you know, I'll say IT and marketing, like that was my background. So it's not that, you know, like user experience was something that was foreign to me. It's just more so that there are more hands in the, like, more hands in the pot for things that you can do and things that you can't do. So I didn't necessarily like that. You know, my creative outlet was now being restricted. I'm just like, all right, but I want to make it look like this because the way y'all are trying to do it, it's looking really boring. Like, this site is not looking the way it can. This this application is not doing everything that it can. So knowing that certain people had to have input on every single moving part that I had to develop, it kind of took the joy out of it for me, because it was no longer my creativity, like no longer me being able to express that creativity in that kind of way. So with Forex, however, you get to basically engineer your experience, tailor and engineer your experience to the T for how it works for you. No trader is the same. Everyone's inspired by different traders or have certain trading styles, different things like that, but no single trader is the same. We all get the same market, but we all see it in different ways. So trading, like, knowing that I like not only creativity, but like my freedom, and that you can do it at certain times. And you pick that time, like you pick those certain times. I feel like Forex has definitely been able to, I just feel like it's more enjoyable. It's definitely more enjoyable. Do you document when you place the trade or after it's done? I do before and after. I need to document my analysis for why the trade is being placed. Otherwise, I can't place the trade. Like, if I can't put together an analysis for a trade, I'm not taking it. No matter how good it looks on the chart, if I don't take the time to hurry up and like write out like, okay, this is the confirmation for this is what I see here, this is what's going on right there, and then boom, hit buy or sell. If I can't do that, I have to let the trade go. Because if you're operating without like planning your trades, it typically leads to, I won't say disaster. I feel like that's kind of dramatic. But I mean, for me at least, I've noticed that the trades that I plan out, or the trades that I take the time, whatever it may be, like let it be like 30 seconds. Just get faster at how you take note of your confirmations or anything like that, and then place your trades. It's like moving slow to go fast, but having that patience to at least document something before you place that trade. Why would I not want to document something that has money involved? I want to know, like a business, I want to know where a loss was and why. So when I do trades, I don't only know confirmations or things that make it look good, or things that are good reasons to take the trade. I also document possible, like I play devil's advocate for myself. Like, what are things that you can see here for why you shouldn't take the trade? I do that as well. So I do before and after. I do the analysis and then the result. What is the best form of journaling for you? Excel, paper and pen, or calendar? Of the ones that you listed, I thought Excel. Like, currently I use Evernote. Because I just like to keep it as simple as possible. Paper and pen works. The problem with me with paper and pen, like the reason why I do use Evernote, is because I don't like my handwriting. I'll be completely honest. I don't like my handwriting. So that's why paper and pen doesn't work for me. If I like write something and I don't like the way it looked, I'll go back and like write over it, and yes, the OCD is real. I hate it so much. But knowing that it's one of my blockers, that's why I take and use like a note app instead of paper and pen itself. What times do you trade? What sessions do you like best? I like certain sessions for different things. The times that I trade are typically London session. Like, that's been the same since the beginning. There was a period in time where I tried London, New York overlap. And that is, I feel like that is best for, you know, like our major pairs, or things like like our indices or anything like that. So like there was a period in time where I was waking up at like 6 in the morning, like trying to do my trading routine and everything. And honestly, like I felt so overwhelmed trying to wake up in the morning and make sure that I do like I have a meditation routine that I stick to before I can even look at the charts. There are certain things that I have to do that are part of, that I feel like are important to my routine, that I need to have time to do. So I didn't like London, New York overlap. So it's typically London session. Is Forex my main source of income? Can it be for you if it isn't? You said Ruby joined. Hi, Ruby. It goes so no, it's not necessarily my main source of income, but it like I said, it replaces the job that I had previously. Because like I said, I do have other businesses as well. Nah, Danny, that's you. Yes, Ruby, 1 year in the books. For real. I was saying earlier, it's like the year went by. It's like, where did it go? It went so fast, but at the same time, it didn't necessarily go slow at the same time. I don't know. It really is just so hard to think about, like, how much has changed, like how different I am as a trader a year later, because I feel like being a trader, it challenges you mentally in ways that other things or other professions or other endeavors can't necessarily challenge you, because your trading psychology, or your psychology in general, is what will make or break you. If you fail to play, you plan to fail. Exactly. For scalpers, how fast can you do the analysis before the movement for fast moving pairs? If you are someone who is a scalper, that's something that you would have to make a routine for. That's something that you would definitely have to make a routine for. And training your eye to see your movements for an analysis, or document your analysis. Like I said, like, documenting, that's for me. Everybody's not going to be the same. Not everyone has to document every single trade. That's something for me, and something that's important to my success. Not everybody has to do that. London session starts at 1 a.m. for you, so it's hard to wake up that early. At 1 a.m.? Girl, I wish London session was 1 a.m. for me. I wish it was either, like, for someone who trades London session, I feel like, dang, it would be so ideal to either be in California or be in London. Like, there was at the beginning of the school year. I mean, not school year. What am I saying? At the beginning of the year, I did go to London, like, for New Year's, and I was waking up in the morning, really trading London session at the normal time, and it felt so great. I was just like, wow, so this is what it feels like? Okay, like, I don't know why it was a big deal for me. I'm just like, dang, I really like this. I like this a lot. Not even a morning person. Absolutely. I think that is all the questions that I see. I know there were a lot of questions that everyone had on that story post that I had like 2 days ago. 2 days ago? I think it was 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. But I'll answer some of those if they haven't already been answered. You said, really, maybe you should just step into one. If you do it fits with your schedule. You just have to do what fits with your schedule. If it's too early to you and it doesn't fit with your schedule, that's the beauty of the Forex market, being open 24 hours. Find one of those hours that fits best for you. Definitely. All right, someone said, and I'm looking at the questions from the IG story. Someone said, do you agree trading is 90% mental? Steps I took for trading psychology. I wouldn't put a percentage to it. I would say that mentally, that's going to be a huge aspect. Your mental factor is going to be a huge aspect. Trading psychology is a huge aspect. And the way that I kind of prep my mind for that is more so with reading trading psychology, like books on trading psychology. Like, I love different trading psychology books because they kind of break down the way that we think. As people who grew up in a society where being right or wrong is taught, like, we're taught that wrong is a thing, and we're taught that being right is better than being wrong, whereas in the market it's more so probability. So it's just like, if we're taking these different trades and everything, but it's based off of, gathering information to make an informed decision for a most probable outcome. You can't be 100% with that. But, like in school, straight A's is something that's good. Straight A's indicates 100%. You know what I mean? And, on tests, you want to see 100%. So it's just like, trading psychology books really break that down for why societal norms, I'd say, for societal norms, for why they don't necessarily fit with trading, and how we have to kind of unwind those kinds of thoughts. Such a good point. Thanks, Ruby. Yes, it's so crazy to think about. Like, I think it was like, my two favorite books are definitely Trading for a Living. That's one I love, and Trading in the Zone. Even though Trading in the Zone it'll drag you. Trading in the Zone definitely drags anybody who like, coming from a normal society, reading that book, it drags the way we think, honestly, or the way we're taught to think, because it's not our fault that we think that way. It's just that it doesn't necessarily work when it comes to trading. Someone said how to get started. I have a link in my bio for how to get started trading, and it's for Lavish Life Academy. How did you start trading? Oh, I did answer that one. Tamia asked, if you could travel back in time 1 year, what would be one piece of advice you would give yourself? I felt like that was such a great question. What would be one piece of advice that you would give yourself? Do not compare yourself to other people's trading. We all get the same market, and we all trade differently. We're our own individual traders. You're in this by yourself. Like, yes, like, you can have a group, you can have a community, you can have people that you talk to, this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, it's you versus the market. So it's not fair for you to compare your trading to someone else's. Yes, we all want to improve, definitely. But, it's not, that. That. It's not, that only puts psychological pressure on you to think about, okay, you know, how can I be like so and so? How, and you know, like there are a lot of people that I look to for motivation or for inspiration or anything like that. I'm not saying don't look for inspiration or anything like that. What I'm saying is you can't look at them and say, well, darn, this must not be working for me because so and so is here and I'm still here and this has been taking a while and I don't know if this is for me anymore. The moment it crosses your mind that it's not for you anymore, or that you can't do something, you're right. You let it defeat you. You're right. You're right. If you sit there and say, and I'm sorry if this is like too raw or like real talk, it's just, it really is just the way I think. The moment you let it cross your mind that something isn't, you know, like you're never gonna succeed at something. Well, when it comes to trading, your psychology is your most important thing. So why would you like basically throw a dagger at your psychology, at your own psychology? Why would you want to hurt your psychology when you need it the most? That's like stabbing a friend in the back. It's just like, okay, dag, well, I thought I was here for you, but you don't need me, clearly. It's like doing that. Like, why would you want to do that? So don't ever even let it cross your mind. Take as much time as you need. Trading isn't a race. Even if you take a break, as long as you don't quit, if it's something you want to do, like if you decide like, you know, I'm here nor there with it, then I mean, that's cool or whatever. But if it's something that you say that you want, act like it. Definitely act like it. Don't try to shortchange yourself or, like I said before, like take any shortcuts or anything like that. Do the work and act like it. It's not, you can't compare where you are to where somebody else is. You have to have tunnel vision on your goals and your focus. Focus on that. That's the only thing that should be focused on, for real. How did you grow emotionally? Still growing emotionally, honestly. Like, losses aren't fun. Like, I'm not about to sit up here and act like losses are fun. But, you know, like I set that's something where it's like that's where risk management comes into play. I know what I'm okay with losing. If I lose that, so be it. If I win, all right, cool. Definitely cool. Entry confirmations, I mean, those are, to be honest, that's all over the internet. I can't really that's on the internet. Like that, it's not what I'm saying here is that when it comes to entry confirmations, that's not a secret. That's not something that's a secret. I answered this already. Someone said, how many hours do I spend back testing and choosing favorite pairs? I did answer that already. What increased my progress what increased my progress the most with my trading? I would definitely say executing, like never letting your losses like get you down. And don't get me wrong, like there are days where a loss can get me down. Like I said, like I'm not here to act like I'm perfect or anything like that. But you know, if I take, let's say for example, I'll go to like my biggest loss that I took, the one that I did share on my story. That was like a psychological mind fuck, for real. Like that day was crazy to me. That day was so crazy to me. It was USD CAD. I felt robbed. But there was like, it was like a trade that I was so sure of. I felt like I was so sure of it to the point where I had blinders on to what was actually happening, and it's like I didn't want to see what was happening, but it was happening. So it's like, all right, price went to a certain position, you know, it's like I was adding to a losing position, and you never want to do that, because that is, first of all, that's not sticking to risk management. That day, out the window. It was out the window. And to be honest, that day where I had my biggest loss, I credit a lot of it to how I grew after that. It's like being able to have that kind of loss. One, and let me back up for a second. So after I took that loss, I did spend most of that day getting it back to like break even. So it's just like I spent several hours of that day trading just to get to break even. It was so emotionally exhausting. It really was. It was so emotionally exhausting. And after that, like the reason why I have my whole meditation routine, or like why I have like I call it what's it called? Like a relief plan, like a disaster plan. It allowed me to create a disaster plan. Like I like to have plans for everything that I do in trading. So having that loss, without having that loss, I wouldn't have the relief plan that I have in place now. And the day that I took that loss, I spent the rest of the day taking a break from the charts. The very next day, I spent, again, taking a break away from the charts. I didn't look at anything that was like studying. I didn't look at anything related to trading that next day. I strictly meditated. Like I bought, not bought because I already had them, but I lit my candles and everything. I had, there were certain things that I noted in my personal journal for like feelings or different things like that. I reflected on my goals, as well as just realigning with myself, basically. Like I did some prayer, and yeah, like I said, like just realigning with myself. That's what I did that next day. So the very following day, I went back on the charts, and it's only because, and I wasn't rushing myself to get back to the charts. It was because I felt mentally ready to go back to the charts. That was why I went back. So having, like that, having a plan for how you emotionally relieve yourself, that's important as well. Top 4 books I recommend: Trading in the Zone, Trading for a Living, Candlestick Bible, and 4-Hour Work Week. That's actually a hard question. Like I named the ones that were on the top of my head, but realistically, that's a hard question. Top 4 books. Yeah, I'll stick with those though. There are definitely a lot of good books out there, and not even just trading, because that's at top 4 books, not top 4 trading books. So just top 4 books in general. I like The Secret, The Meta Secret. Yeah, there are a lot of different books that are really good though. What was my best week? My best week was because I don't want to just say something generic and base it off of like, oh, like this was when I profited this much, so that one was the best week. I would say not profit based, more so, you know what? It was Thanksgiving week, the week of Thanksgiving. So the week of Thanksgiving, that was the first week. And, like the markets they're typically slow during holiday weeks. That week was the first time I had, instead of like $100 or $200 days, that week was the first week where I had consistently had $500 days. So it would, I don't know. It's just like, all right, this is done. $500 a week. I mean, $500 in a day, in a week. So that's $2,500 in a week. All right, I finally got to this milestone. Like, it definitely felt it definitely felt like a turning point for me, because the thing about it was I wasn't forcing it. It felt easy, as if it had always been there in me to do it. I just hadn't yet. So then that week, that was the first time I did, and then I duplicated the same thing that I did that entire week. I duplicated, like, rinse, wash, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat, and it was just easy to do from there. Someone said your struggles and achievements, how much you made, how much time and money you've invested. Wait, Zisky Freesky, you said you missed it. You didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything yet. Still here. You still here. Like I said, I don't like answering, like, how much money did you make or anything like that. It's more because I feel like a lot of the times when people ask certain things like that, then they want to compare, and trading isn't for... I don't think anyone should compare themselves to what anyone else has done. So but like I said, like, it's definitely more so just like I can make more in a day than what I made at the job that I was laid off from. That's simply put. And like I said, for my job, I was a web developer, so like I was in the tech field. So it's not like it wasn't like a like I had a good salary. I did. I had a good salary. So the fact that I'm able to replace that with trading, or make more than what I was making in a day when I did have my salary job, it means a lot to me. And like, there are certain weeks where like, people can have an off week or different things like that. People can definitely have an off week. So that money isn't guaranteed. Money in the markets is not guaranteed. You're actually into web designing. Any tips? It depends on what kind of web designer you are. I was more so like back end, but I would say, so I only have 2 minutes left. I'm gonna come on and answer the rest of these questions, but I am gonna save this live. Oh, thank you. I do try to be humble. I'm grateful, humble, and blessed, for real. But for tips for web designing, real quick, I would just say keep up to date on technology. You definitely want to keep up to date on technology. Since it's something I'm not close to anymore necessarily, I'm not the most close with the most up to date things. Like, for example, I was developing on the Drupal platform. Not a lot of people know what that is, but the White House runs on that kind of platform. But on just being up to date for technology, because it changes rapidly. It changes rapidly every season, every year. You want to stay up to date on your technology. Always learn. With anything, I feel like you do have to always learn, but with technology specifically, it is important to always learn, for real. It is so important, because you not staying up to date on something technology related, someone coming from someone coming from somewhere else where they did learn that, they can knock you right out of the talent pool. Like, it's so competitive. It's definitely competitive. Hell yeah, I like how humble you are. That's why I mess with you too, Tishan. Yes. And thank you so much. Like, humble, honestly, it's the only way I know how to be. It's really the only way I know how to be. No, I understood. It's weird because I read it, but it wasn't there. Yes.